Good morning to one and all. A blessed good morning to everyone who has joined us. Today is the last day of our fast. Today is the last day of our fast, and I'm sure that many of you are happy. It was a rough fast, but it was one that was necessary. It was one that was needed. And I want to thank all of you for I want to thank all of you for joining with us, the council, joining with us as we went into class this week. And I pray that God will continue to bless your life, that He will continue to bless your life as we choose to join with Him as He do what He does best. This week, we are continuing on the disadvantages of having a purpose. The disadvantages of having a purpose. And I started last week, as we looked through last week, we would have dealt with how am I affected by not walking in my purpose or not living out my purpose. How am I affected? But today, I want to not only look at how you are affected, but how you not having your purpose, you not being in purpose, you not following the purpose that God has set out for you, how that affects not only you, but how it affects the people around you, how it affects the things around you. Not only me, but the fact that God has given me a purpose. My purpose is not just for me. When I was created, God created me to solve a problem in the earth. God created me and He looked at me and He said, actually before He looked at me, when He was thinking about creating me, He in His mind decided that Dionne will solve a problem. He decided in his mind that Mapatsi will solve a problem, that Dario will solve a problem. He created us with a problem and a solution in mind. We are a solution to a problem. We are a solution to a problem. So we are going to look at the disadvantages. Because if I am a solution to a problem, I must understand that when I don't walk in my purpose, what God has called me to do, when I do not walk out my purpose, when I do not love God the way that I need to love Him, when I don't truly do that, when I don't love other people the way that He's called me to love them, how does that now affect not only me, but the people around me? And we started out last weekend. Last week pretty much was basically that we need to be prepared. We can find ourselves even as a people of God, even as parts of a church, as being unprepared and unready for His coming. And that is probably the greatest disadvantage that there is in the life of a believer. We don't want to find ourselves at a disadvantage. My God did not create me to be disadvantaged, but He created me to solve problems. When He thought about me, that is who I was, a problem solver. And then we begin to think of ourselves in such a way. Because if I begin to think of myself as a solution, then everything else will begin to fall in place. So today, we are going to look at how do I affect the things around me, and how do I affect the people around me not walking in my purpose. And I'll let you turn to Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3, verses 17 to 19. And we all know that it all began in Genesis. That God came to the earth, and before he did anything, he provided the earth and the sun, and he did all that. And then he made man. And I believe that God would have provided for man even before man was there. Before man was upon the earth, he had already provided for us. And it came to a point where we all know the story, where Eve ate the apple and she took it to her husband or her spouse, and Adam ate. And then God was looking for them and he asked them, "Where are you?" And they pretty much were hiding because now they have this knowledge that God had not necessarily intended them to have. And God addressed Eve as well as he addressed Adam. But today I want to look at how he addressed Adam. How he addressed Adam, because Adam was walking in his purpose. He was in complete communion with God. Adam had no problems. Adam had no issues in life. Adam had everything at his fingertips. Adam had everything that he could possibly want to live, possibly want to survive. Adam had perfect communion with God, which is what we're seeking out right now. A great advantage. Adam had perfect communion with God. And because Adam had perfect communion with God, Adam was able to receive all that God was. Because I have perfect communion with God, I am able to receive all that God has. And we know we can find that in Scripture. Whatever is God's, I am the heir. I am an heir, a co-heir. And so Adam had everything to his advantage. But when the fall happened, everything pretty much turned around. So let us read. This is God speaking to Adam and addressing Adam. And pretty much actually this reminds me of when a child wants to do their own thing. And the parent has to say, well, if you want to be your own woman, you go find you a job, or you're going to have to live on your own. So let's read. To Adam he said, because you listened to your wife and ate from the tree about which I commanded you, you must not eat. First is the ground because of you. Through painful toil, you will eat of it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plant of the field. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your food until you return to the ground. Thence from it you were taken. For dust you are, and dust you will return. And I remind you of when your parents tell you, I'll bring you into this world and I can take you out of it. I don't know if any of you ever had your parents tell you, so my mother never told me that before, but I've heard that so many times. I brought you into this world and I can take you out of it. And God is here addressing Adam and saying, Adam, you messed up our relationship. You messed up everything, Adam. You have no idea what you have just done. You messed up not only our relationship, but you messed up so many other things. So today we're going to talk about the other things that Adam would have messed up. And there are two main things in Scripture, plus three. First of all is your communion with God. Is your communion with God. Adam, we all know that when Adam fell. When he fell, pretty much everything went out of whack. Everything went out of whack. His relationship with God was pretty much null and void. So that is number one. Our relationship with God, our communion with God, can be a disadvantage if we are not walking or if we are not living out our purpose. But I don't want to concentrate on that because I think we pretty much talked about about that last week. What I want to do is to continue on and take a look at how other things were at a disadvantage. Let me give you a definition of disadvantage. To be disadvantaged is to find oneself in an unfavorable circumstance that reduces the chance of success. I'm going to read that again. To be disadvantaged is to find oneself in an unfavorable circumstance that reduces the chances of success or effectiveness. Or you can say it, that Adam found himself in a predicament. You can say that Adam found himself in a predicament. You can say that Adam found himself in a vulnerable situation. You can say that Adam found himself in a jam. You can also say that Adam found himself in a difficult situation. To be disadvantaged is to find oneself in an unfavorable circumstance with God. Unfavorable circumstance with God. We can look at scripture and we will find many people who were in favor with God, who God gave his favor to for particular situations. Number one, Esther, when she went before the king. Number two, Joseph, before Pharaoh. Number three, Joseph, when he was going to the people of Israel, God gave him favor. Jesus, we know he had favor with God and with man. Joshua, the wall of Jericho, and many wars. David, again, many wars. So we know that there are situations where God has favor with man. There are also situations, as I said before, where where people found themselves in an unfavorable situation with God. Jonah, swallowed by a whale because of his disobedience. And might I say, disobedience is what brings us into a situation where we find ourselves in an unfavorable situation with God. So, when he was rejected as king, after God made him king, and he did what he wanted to do to please the people, he found himself in an unfavorable situation. Ananias and Sapphira, when they pretty much lied about tithing. Nebuchadnezzar, I can go on and on. We have many people who find themselves in an unfavorable situation with God. It is impossible for anyone to win a battle with God. It is impossible for any one of us to win a battle with God. It is better for us to quickly come to an agreement with God and to basically obey his word. The only way that we can progress is by obedience. We want to find ourselves in a favorable situation with God. Not only can you be disadvantaged when you are out of your purpose, but as I said before, the people and the things around you are also going to be affected. There are many disadvantages. We went through before with Pastor Miller, many advantages, and he did say that there are some that he didn't even name. Today there are some there that I'm not going to name, but what I'm going to do, as I said, is that I'm going to pick out those two that I believe encompasses everything that God wants to share with us today. If you're not going to walk in your purpose God has set up for you, you're going to have these challenges. Number one, remember that we're looking at Adam and his situation. Number one, in Adam's situation, the Bible said, cursed is the ground. Cursed is the ground. And when you hear the word curse, curse pretty much, we ain't talking about cursing as in bad words. We're talking about cursed as in if you are not blessed, then you are cursed. If you are not obedient, then you find yourself in a situation where curses are upon you. And why does that happen? Because God is the one who created the world. He's the one who knows how it is to function. And we believe and we trust that what He tells us to do is, He tells us to do it that way because He knows that that is the way it would work. So when we choose not to do things the way that God says that we should, then we find ourselves in a cursed situation. And here Adam finds himself in a cursed situation. Not only him, but the ground that was beneath him. Not only him, but his surroundings. Not only him, but his territory. The same territory that God had given to him freely, that he didn't even have to ask for, that he didn't have to beg for. There are many things in our life that we did not have to ask God for, that He just provided it for us. And in that He provided it for us, He's told us how we should function, how we should treat these things, how we should maneuver around certain situations. And Adam finds himself that with the ground beneath him is cursed. Cursed meaning that but we know that blessing is having God's divine favor. So curse is to not have His favor. In other words, Adam now has to provide for himself. The grain and the whatever that he used to eat, the plants, whatever it is that he used to eat, no longer is going to be provided easily. No longer is going to be at the fingertips of his hands. No, Adam has to go and seek and go and work for everything that he needs. And this is a big disadvantage in our lives. We find ourselves in a situation where we're not obedient to God. And then we have to try to work things out in our favor, try to make things work. And many times we recognize that even when we try to make it work and try to fix it, that it does not work. We find ourselves deep in those situations. Whether it's a family situation, maybe you handled it wrong. Maybe it's a money situation, maybe you handled it wrong. Maybe it is a job situation. Maybe you spoke to your boss wrong. Maybe it is some type of situation. And we forgot our purpose in that situation. And now we find ourselves and at a disadvantage with his territory, with the ground that is beneath him, with the things that God had provided for him. And now God is saying, I am no longer going to put up with this. I am not going to have you do as you like and then eat from my hand for whatever, for what's that I'm trying to say? For you to choose to do as you want. So God looks at Adam and says, the ground below you is cursed. Now, I don't know about you, but I need God's provision. I need God's divine provision. It's impossible for me to provide all on my own. If we really think about it, sometimes it seems easy that I can just go to work. I'm going to be fine. I know I need God. I don't need Him to provide whatever for me. I got a job, I'm going to go work, and I can go and I'm going to make provision for myself. But we all know, like, those who knows it, that it doesn't always work that way. At the end of the month, the money is gone, and we're looking and we're trying to figure out how we're going to get through, maybe even to the next month or whatever the case is. Sometimes the money and those kind of those provisions aren't necessarily enough, and sometimes we get caught up thinking that it is enough. So God is saying not only the things under your feet, as in the ground, if we dig a little deeper, is not going to be provided from my hand, Now you have to provide everything for yourself. Because as I said before, as a child, a disobedient child, every time you don't go and look for your own work and you're going to have to go and live under your own roof. God is pretty much saying the same to Adam. God is pretty much saying the same thing to Adam. All right, Adam, the wisdom that I would have given you, now we know that there is earthly wisdom. The knowledge that I would have provided, the food I would have provided, the resources I would have provided, the counsel I would have provided, the peace that I would have provided. I don't know about y'all, but I need God's peace. The joy that I would have provided, the comfort that I would have provided, the protection that I would have provided, the direction for life that I would have provided. No, Adam, you have got to do this all on your own because of the choice that you made. The choice that you made to walk out of your purpose. Little did Adam know that when he ate that apple, that he was walking out of his purpose. That door was going to be open and he would have had to walk through it, and there was no longer going to be the comfort that he had always known. Now Adam has to look and to provide not only the food that's beneath his ground, but everything. He has to find his own peace, which we know isn't going to work out very well. He has to find his own joy. He has to find his own protection. Has to put a roof over his head. He now has to find his own direction in life. He has to now find his own resources. And God said to him, you're going to have to painfully toil the land. You're going to have to painfully toil the land. It is not going to come easy. What I provided for you, the way I did it, it was easy for him. After all, he is God. But then when we have to do it on our own, we know that it's not easy. So God is saying to Adam, you completely messed up everything. Not only are you out of communion with me, not only have you been affected, but now you are and have affected the ground beneath you and everything around you. And we need to think about that a little bit. And how we affect the things around us by not being or doing what God calls us to do. We walk in our purpose where we are obedient to God. And God is calling us to be obedient to Him in every situation, in everything that we do. And He's calling out to you and asking you to allow Him to be your provider. Number 2. Not only did Adam affect his relationship with God, not only did he make bad for the soil beneath his feet, for his provision, but now Adam finds himself in a situation where every single person that comes after him is at a disadvantage. You could imagine that one man caused a whole world to come into existence at a disadvantage. Could you imagine that you yourself could put so many people at a disadvantage? We don't like to think about these things, but the things that we do affect the people around us. The things that we say, how we do it, how we say it. The things that we don't do also affect the people around us. Everyone after Adam fell as a result of their actions. Everyone. From the time you were born. Your actions affect the people around you. Your actions affect the people around you. Your decisions affect the people around you and the people that you love. The things that you do affect the people that are in your home. You choosing to live God's way affect the people in your home. You choosing to speak and to be careful with your words affect the people in your home. You choosing to be a child of God and a true, as I said last week, child of God affect everyone around you. Your children are waiting for you to impact them in a way that God only can come from God. Your children prosper when you prosper. Your children also suffer when you suffer. A wife is put at a disadvantage when her husband doesn't love her the way that he should love her. A husband is put at a disadvantage when a wife neglects to support him. A sinner is put at a disadvantage when, as a child of God, we neglect to share the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. The world is waiting for the children of God to become bold, to become purposeful, and to walk in our purpose. The world is waiting for us to take up the mantle. The world is waiting for us. Your children are waiting for you. Could you imagine the way that you live your life could affect? We know that it could affect our children, but sometimes we don't think about it in a spiritual way. The way you live your life, the way you operate your household, the way you decide I'm going to get up in the morning and pray and not hide it. The way you decide I'm going to do a devotion even going down in the car because I didn't have time when I was at home. The way you do life will affect the people around you, will affect your children, will affect your workmates. How many times people look at us as believers and think that it's a fake thing because we're not living the life that God has purposed us to live. So Adam finds himself not only at a disadvantage, Adam finds himself corrupting the world, the earth, corrupting what God had intended for us to live. We humans found ourselves at the greatest disadvantage when sin entered the world through one man. But thank God that He did not choose to give up on us. Thank God that He chose to give us another chance. Romans chapter 5, verse 18 to 19. You can read that on your own, but it speaks about how just as one man entered the world and brought sin into the world, so the same thing happened when Christ entered into the world and gave us righteousness. Today I want to implore with you. I want to encourage you. I want to ask you to search yourself. Ask you to look inward. Look inward. I want to ask you to think about the fact that we've been doing purpose for the last, I think, since February. We've been doing purpose since February. What have you adjusted in your life? If things need to be adjusted, we've been taught that our purpose is to love God, number one, and love others, number two. Now we can see from Adam's example, short example, but we can see from Adam's example that what we do with our lives, but whether we live out our purpose the way that God had intended. And I want to make it clear that your purpose is not your purpose. Your purpose is God's purpose for you. Your purpose is what God has designed for you. And there's nothing greater and nothing better than you having that purpose, than you living out that purpose. That purpose had been made, it had been fashioned, it had been created just for you. And God wants you to partner with Him and to live out that purpose because it's greater than you. It's greater than you. It's a bigger picture. It's like a small, my purpose is a small piece of the puzzle. A small piece of the puzzle. So since we've been talking about purpose, what have you adjusted? Have you been in thoughts? Have you been searching? Have you been asking God if what you believe that you have within is real? Have you been searching and seeking out a closer relationship with God, a closer connection with God? The Bible says that the earth is groaning for the return of God's children to come into a realization of their true purpose. I'm asking you today, are you aware? And not just to know, but have you experienced or are you experiencing what God has purposed for you to live? Or are you living your life at a disadvantage? Are you trying to do things on your own? Are you trying to provide for yourself? Are you trying to create protection for yourself? Are you trying to live life on your own? Or are you looking to God for direction that you need for your life? Are you looking to God and saying, God, I need more of you. I need you to give me revelation about where you want me to be, what you want me to do in every situation, in every step of the way, God. Are you living your life in purpose? Or are you fighting yourself at a disadvantage? I ask you, want to be in purpose with God. I ask you to want to be in connection and in good communion with God. I ask you that you would find yourself in a closer situation with God, in a closer relationship with God. God is calling us. This is a time when God is calling us to be closer to Him because the things that we choose to do today, the things we choose to do, even in this situation where the world is in, the things that we choose to do now is going to affect other people. The earth is waiting for us. Therefore, people are waiting for us. What are you going to do? Are you going to sit back? Are you going to sit back? Are you going to continue to live your life and just going to watch these lives that come up on Sunday and just for comfort? Or are you going to dig deeper? Are you going to be seeking and praying and asking God, what is it that you want me to do? Are you going to be living your life in the purpose that God has asked us to live? Let's bow our hands. Almighty God and everlasting Father, we give you thanks. We glorify your name. We thank you, God, for this word. We thank you, dear Father God, that you are our provider. We thank you, dear Father God, that you've made a way, dear Father God, that we don't find ourselves stuck, dear Father God, in a situation where Adam would have left us, dear Father God. But you sent your Son, Jesus Christ, dear God, to come and to free us from that sin, that bondage, dear God, that kept us down and kept us back, dear Father God. I ask you, dear God, that you, oh Lord, will reach out your hand to each individual, that you will reach out your hand to us, dear Father God, that we will be able, dear Lord, to find you. Because it says you see, but you are the one who calls us. You are the one who calls us. You are the one who calls me. And I ask you, dear God, to begin to call your people. Begin to call your people, dear Father God. May we hearken our ears unto your word, dear Father God. May you, O God, receive all the glory. May you, O God, receive all the honor. May you, O God, receive all the praise. I ask you, dear Father, even God, that we notice and we remember that what we do, how we live our lives, will affect those around us. And we can be keeping people back from the gospel. May I ask you, dear Father God, that you will give us boldness, make us bold, bring us into that oneness with you, and help us